Hey guys, welcome back to the Craf-T Home. If you're new here, my name is Tanya. Today I'm going to share with you a few storage ideas that I have come up with over the years to help store a few things around the house that are kind of awkward and don't necessarily have a clear place, but I still need to store those things. So hopefully this will give you a few ideas that you can use in your home or even inspire you to come up with something similar that will work for you for some of your awkward things that you need to store. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that I find I have a hard time storing is my ironing board. Generally speaking, you might have this in a laundry room. In our last house where we used to live, we had a large laundry room and I could put the ironing board in there, and it was actually connected to the closet, so it worked out really nice. But most modern houses these days, your laundry room is on a separate floor from your bedroom, or even if it's on the same floor, it's a smaller laundry room. Laundry rooms tend to be really small. Like mine, I think is, I want to say 8 by 5 or 8 by 6. It's very small. It's enough for a washer, a dryer. I do have like a shelf for storage and then one hamper. That's all I have room for in there. And so I don't have room for an ironing board. And beyond that, I don't want to iron my stuff as it comes out of the dryer because I think that would just take up so much time and I don't like to iron that much. So we normally will just put our stuff away, fold it and hung, and then as we need to use it, then we will iron it if it needs ironing. So for me, it is more convenient to have my ironing board in my bedroom because then I can pull stuff out of my closet and iron it as I need it. But where do you store your ironing board? So a few years ago, I had gone to a wedding in Arkansas, and it was this really great hotel that we stayed at, and they had, in the room that we stayed at, they had a shelf, just a regular shelf that you normally would find on a wall with pictures, and it's got those little hanging pegs that you would hang maybe a picture or whatever on, basically a decorative shelf. And they had an ironing board and an iron on that, and I just thought that was the greatest idea ever. So when I got home, I actually pulled out a shelf that I already had. Actually, a friend of my mom's had made it for me years ago, and I used to use it for decor. And so I pulled that out and I was able to, I just put 2 screws through it to attach it to the wall, to secure it to the wall. And the 2 little pegs hold my ironing board now. And then on top of it, I can store my iron, our starch. I have a spray bottle for dampening clothes as we iron. And then I also have a little hand steamer that I can store in there. And I find that this is so much more convenient for me. And then also it is behind my bedroom door. So when I open up my bedroom door, no one would ever know that that is there unless you come in and look behind my door. So it's a great way to store it so that it actually looks nice and it's convenient and it's kind of hidden when your door is open. Number 2, one of the things that I have such a hard time with storing is my husband's hats. He golfs, and with golfing comes golfing hats. So we have a lot of hats around our house, and they used to end up getting laid everywhere, and there was no great spot for it, and I could not find any great ideas for storage. So there's a local antique mall that I love to browse at, and when I was there, I saw these brass hooks, and I decided to just get a few different kinds of them just because I thought it would be kind of cool and eclectic to have a couple different kinds of hooks. So I put 4 separate brass hooks up on the wall in my laundry room, which is next to where we come in at the garage. So now we have a place that we can hang up all the hats and they're not cluttering up all the rest of our house. Number 3, if you've seen some of my previous videos, you know that golf is a big sport in our house. We have 3 golfers. I'm the only one who does not golf, but with golfing comes a lot of equipment. And my husband and my kids like to putt in the house during the cold months when they can't go to the golf course. And then also they have a lot of training tools to do exercises during the winter months. And then also we just have a lot of golf equipment. So I end up with a lot of golf clubs and golf balls kind of all around our house. So it used to be that all of our golf clubs would just be laid up against a wall and driving me insane, and then golf balls everywhere. So I ended up just buying a big basket. I think I got this one from Home Goods, and I was able to just stick all the golf clubs in there. Now it kind of looks like, I know it's not pretty, but it almost looks intentional that they're there, and it's not quite so ugly as it used to be. And then for the balls, I got this mercury glass jar. This is from Home Goods, and I can just stick all the loose balls in there, and it kind of looks like decoration. So it's like they're all there, easily accessible, but I don't have to necessarily look at it. Number 4 is kitchen spices. So if you are a cook like me, we cook 99% of our meals at home, and that means I have a ton of spices. And I have looked for ideas and ways to store spices in a small kitchen. Our kitchen is really small. It's probably a 10-foot by 10-foot space. We don't have a ton of cabinet space. We certainly don't have a ton of drawers. And over the years, I keep switching where I end up putting my spices, but what bothered me was that they were never easily accessible, and I couldn't find a solution that had space for all of my spices. So when I was kind of trying to figure something out for it, I ended up looking at my kitchen and thinking, where could I put spices that's not in the cabinet and not in the pantry, which is off to the side from my kitchen and would be such a pain in the butt to go run and get spices to. I know, because I tried it before. And what I came up with were these floating shelves. And I got this set of 3 from Amazon. I can link them below if you're interested in them. They're meant to be decorative shelves. But what I did was I just took those, put those above my stovetop, so all of my spices are easily accessible while I'm cooking. And then I got these little small plastic containers from the Dollar Tree and used my label maker to label them. And then the other spices that I had larger bottles of, I just created these sticker labels for, and I put those on the jars so that they all look the same, almost like it's a set, because I didn't want to buy new spice jars because it's expensive. That has worked out really, really well for me, and I love having room for lots of spices because I have a lot of them, and that it's easily accessible and it isn't taking up any of my cabinet or drawer space. Number 5, so we have 4 people in my house, which means we have lots of technology and electronics, Kindles and iPads and phones and whatever, and they very often are laying all around, and when they're charging, they're usually laying on a counter or wherever next to an outlet. And for me, it looked so messy and so crazy to always have electronics charging all different places and having them lay all around. So I found this wooden storage box at Target a few years ago. They actually still carry it. And I got that, and then I drilled a couple of holes through the bottom of it so that we can run charging cables up through the bottom, plug them into the wall on the counter, and then this, I think it's actually an office organizer. It can hold all of our iPads, our Kindles, our phones, and everything has a place. And in addition, they can charge without having messy cords and everything everywhere where you can see it. So it keeps everything really nice and neat and functional. Number 6 is napkin rings. Like I said when I was talking about the spices, I have a small kitchen. I do not have a lot of storage in there, and because of that, we don't have storage for those extra things that people would want to have in their kitchen. And one of those things are napkin rings. So I like to use napkin rings generally during holidays and special occasions. I'll set up a nice tablescape and I will add napkin rings. So I don't have a place to store those in my kitchen, but I do have a shelf in my laundry room where I keep some storage. So on that shelf, I have this jewelry box, and this I used to store my jewelry in, but I no longer do. So since it was sitting around not being used, and I actually really love this box and I didn't want to get rid of it, I decided to store my napkin rings in it. And as you can see, they lay out and fit perfectly in there. And I only have a couple of sets, but I don't use a whole lot, but it still gives me a place to store them without taking up room in my kitchen. Number 7. So one of the things with having a daughter is that you have a lot of hair supplies around the house. So as my daughter was growing up, we did a lot of hair bows. I actually used to make her a hair bow that matched every single outfit, which was really extra, but I made them myself, and I had all this ribbon that I had gotten for very inexpensive off of eBay, so I figured why not? And that's beside the point. And so storing the bows became like a big deal. I didn't have a great solution for that. So what I came up with was I added this over the door hook to the back of my daughter's door, and then I bought this antique picture frame from the antique mall, and it did not have glass or anything in it. It was just the empty frame, and I just stapled ribbon on the back of it in lines, and then that allowed me to have a place to clip all of her bows. Now this is pretty empty, but it used to be full from top to bottom on every one of those ribbons. Since she's older, she doesn't wear bows as often, so then we had to come up with a way to store headbands, because that is more of what her age wears. So I added to this frame these little screw-in hooks, and I just screwed them all across the frame, and now she has a place to hang up all of her headbands and then any bows that have hair ties instead of clips. I am actually going to adjust this hair thing in the future to hold scrunchies, and when I do, I will do a video on that so you can see how we are storing scrunchies, since that is another hair thing that we now have to store. Number 8, along the same lines of hair, bow, and headband storage, we also had to find a place to store hair supplies for my daughter. In the mornings when she would get ready, we have 3 separate bathrooms. One is in our master bedroom, and then we have the kids' bathroom upstairs, and then we have a half bath downstairs. And my son would always get ready and brush his teeth in the kids' bathroom, and my daughter would be in our half bathroom, and she would brush her teeth and do her stuff and get ready in that one. So when she would be done getting ready, I would have to do her hair. So instead of running up to her room, which is on the next floor, or running up to the kids' bathroom, which my son was usually in getting ready himself, we came up with a way to store hair supplies down in the living room so that I could just do her hair real fast before we had to leave for school. So now the way we store her hair supplies is I have this side table that I got from Home Goods. It has a drawer on the top, but then on the cabinet on the bottom, I have a container from the Dollar Tree, and this just holds her hairbrush, a couple of curling irons, a hair straightener, hair ties, hairspray, anything that we would need for doing her hair before we go to school. Number 9 is jewelry storage. So when I talked about the napkin rings, you know that I no longer use that jewelry box for my jewelry. That is because as time goes on, I end up getting a little bit more, and then costume jewelry is bigger, and it was just hard to store everything, and it was getting to be too much and too hard to use. So I came up with a way to store my jewelry in a dresser. We have this dresser that's in our bedroom. I was able to clear out the top drawer, and then I ordered these little plastic dividers from eBay. They were very, very inexpensive, and all I did was just stack these in this drawer, and it gives me a way to divide all of my jewelry and lay it out vertically, and I can just lift each divider and see what's underneath, and it's easy for me to see all the jewelry I have and what I might want to use. And in the back behind the dividers, because I had room, I just took cardboard and made a divider back there. It's not pretty, but it's functional. And in the first section, I have little jewelry bags and stuff that I want to save, and also like silver polishers and jewelry cleaners. And in the next section, I have some bracelets that my kids made for me. Then in the next section, I have a little mirror that my son bought for me, and then a couple of bandos for handbags. And then I have a big section where I keep some of the bigger necklaces and things I have, and then also 2 sunglass cases that I am not currently using, but I want to be able to use as I switch out my sunglasses. And finally, number 10 is sunglasses. So as I mentioned when I was talking about jewelry, I have a couple of cases of my sunglass cases in my jewelry drawer. However, for sunglasses, I have a couple of pairs. I don't have a huge collection, but I do have a few that I like to keep around, and I do like to switch them out every once in a while. And then I also have these little handbag puffs. I don't even know what you call them, the little balls of fur that you can hang on handbags or backpacks or whatever. And I was having a hard time figuring out where to store these things. Again, we do not live in a large house. We don't have a large closet. I don't have a lot of storage for all these things. We have this little jewelry holder. It's actually probably for necklaces. I got this at Michael's several years ago, and this I find holds my sunglasses and these little handbag keychains perfectly, and I can turn it and see exactly what I have, and it's just easy to take things on and off, and it sits on top of this dresser, and it looks so pretty. It's like an extra piece of decor for my dresser. Okay guys, that is it for all of my different storage solutions. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to see more videos from me. I post on Tuesdays and Fridays, so there's always new things to see. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video.